Welcome to Wild, Women in Lending Determined to Make an Impact. I'm your host, Robyn LaVassaur. They say our biggest fear isn't being inadequate. It's being powerful beyond measure. In this podcast, I will share how to break through imaginary ceilings, lean into success, discovering your purpose, and understanding how to create the business and life of your dreams. From failures to triumphs and all the tactics in between, let's jump into the wild arena together. Welcome back to Wild with Robyn LaVassaur. I am so excited to share with you this week's episode because this little tiny acronym, if you will, that essentially shows you how to communicate, gives you a little, do you ever do that when, I don't know if you ever took piano lessons, but when I did, when they teach you the notes, they add, words basically hooked on phonics, if you will. And what I learned was the one that I remember is every good boy deserves fudge, right? And that's how you remembered the order, if you will, of the notes that you were playing when you were learning music. I'll tell you what, no different in becoming a masterful conversationalist. I know that that's an official word. So the basic, the one that everybody kind of knows, that's become world famous, that a lot of people talk about, is the basic. It's the Ford method. And so you might not know it. So I'm going to indulge you for a minute and say, when you think about having a conversation with a stranger, and or whether it is in a job interview, it's in a referral partner interview, it's with clients, getting to know people, the most basic way to engage and get to know somebody is often using the Ford method. Well, what does that stand for? My husband loves a Ford truck, but that's not it. What it actually is family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Now, here's what's tricky about it. If you're doing the Ford conversation and you're not patient and you're not doing a thorough job, if you will, you can move through it pretty quickly. If I had somebody on the show right now and I was literally doing a role play with them, I would say, hey, what's your family look like? Or how is the family, right? It might be somebody I already know. Quick conversation, quick yes or no. How's work? And do anything fun lately? What are you looking forward to? What are you excited about? What are your big goals? Now, if you think about that, if somebody gave you a 1 or 2 word answer to all of those questions, we're done in less than 2 minutes. We're done in less than 2 minutes, which means we stayed in alligator brain the entire time. We were in information processing. It's like playing pinball or ping pong, right? Quick little dinks, do, back and forth. What it really means is that, and I speak about this a lot, and it is such an underestimated skill, that we're not connecting head to heart. And this is where influence takes place. And I learned I cannot edify enough my friend Renee Rodriguez. He puts on the classes Amplify Your Influence. He's on Instagram. He's written books. He's got a podcast. Everything about Renee Rodriguez that you can. Neuroscience, if you will. See Renee Speak, I believe is his Instagram, or Learn with Renee. He is unbelievable, and it is worth digging into. He taught me what I already... Some of us have natural conversation styles and natural listening styles. I already had a bit of it. I'm not going to lie. I had a bit of it. Now, I don't have a lot of things. I'm not all that great of a baker, but I for sure had some conversation skills. What I had to do was develop those skills at a deeper level, but I never understood the formula other than Ford. And so what am I going to teach you today? It's instead of going straight across. So again, I'm going to show you Ford. If you think about that, that's a straight line in what I would call this is surface. If this above or below the surface, well, Ford is above the surface, meaning that very quickly you can go here. Now, if you're willing to go deeper on each of those letters, you can easily get below the surface, but it doesn't really tell you to do that necessarily. And what I think is people have found quick ways to get through Ford, to do the basics and knock that down. And while that'll get you a great result, it's not going to get you an exponential result. And so how do we do that? Well, below the surface and going deeper is this. We're going to start with an L, and that is listen. You got it. It actually starts with not even talking or asking questions. It's listening. So you might be asking the Ford conversation, but then you're going to actually listen more than anything. Next thing. O. What does the O stand for? Well, it actually, so I'm showing you the O, started to write the word already. Observe. Listen, observe. If somebody is I'll hear, you guys all know, if you don't know, let me just say it out loud. Ed Milet is like my podcast idol, if you will. Ed Milet says all the time when he's meeting face-to-face with people he's interviewing, hang on a second, why'd your face change when you said that? Why'd you shift? Why were you nervous? Why did you make a different statement, right? What did that look like? What I will tell you is you have to observe how people are reacting. When I have clients that come in and as we're talking, they shift and all of a sudden do this. And if you're watching this versus listening to it, you can see me sit back and cross my arms. Maybe I'm very stoic in my mannerisms. Maybe I'm even a little bit cross or grumpy with my face, or I can tell that I'm nervous or cynical. I'll tell you what, if you're not willing to observe, one of the most powerful things that I ever did was get confident enough to sit with clients and I would say to them, hey, do you naturally sit with your arms folded, or do you have some concerns you aren't telling me? Now, if you just heard a long pause, that's strategic. That's strategic because I've done a whole episode on this. Sitting after you ask somebody a question and allowing for silence to take place is meaning they're processing what I just said and then going to answer more thoughtfully the longer the pause is. That's a win, not a loss. And so that pause is important. It all has to do with observation, right? So we're listening, we're observing with our eyes, right? We're using our senses. V, what do we think the V is? We are almost at the full word, right? What do we think the V is? Well, I'll tell you what, V is validate. Validate. Listen, observe, validate, right? Hey, I'm listening. I'm hearing a client that is very nervous. I'm observing some nervous behavior. Hey, I see your leg bouncing. Are you nervous right now? Right? We're going to go there. We're going to keep going there. Validate. You should be nervous, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. You should be nervous. This is a major purchase. I'm glad you're nervous. That means this means something to you, that you understand the responsibility you're about to take when it comes to lending. You understand this is a big deal. I wish more people paused and took the time to listen, observe, and validate things that I am feeling and thinking, because I'll tell you what, when I am saying, because when I'm doing that and somebody's willing to maybe have a second set of eyes on me where I think I've got it all figured out and they're willing to call me out on it, I know they care enough, right? I know they're paying attention to me. In a world full of noise, quick conversations above the surface, everything, I know that they are fully engaged in me, right? And then the very last one, shockingly, is engage. Engage. And what does that spell? We're below the surface. We're underneath the surface, if you see, and we have now listened, we've observed, we've validated, and we have engaged all of these items. Listen, observe, validate, and engage. That means love is a depth conversation. If you start by listening, you're willing to make observation. I see how excited you are when you tell this story. Man, I can feel the emotion. I can completely relate to you on why you're saying that and how you're saying it. I hope that you know it's absolutely valid how you're feeling. It's absolutely valid to have that concern. It's absolutely valid, right? Now, wait a minute. Let's engage. Let's talk some more about it. Let's dig into a couple more whys. So Ford is not a bad practice. It's a great off the cuff, like we know, but the goal is to transform a Ford conversation into a love conversation where somebody says that conversation left an impression on me, left me feeling differently, left me thinking differently, left me feeling more comfortable, more connected, and ultimately more like a client that is cared for when I talk to Robyn. And if you can do that for yourself, it will absolutely transform your business. If this episode's helpful for you, I hope that you share Wild with everybody, real estate lending or not. And everybody that is doing it, I had a couple people run up to me, literally one at church, one at Costco the other day, came over to me and said, I watch all your videos and I'm listening. Now, I don't say that in a brag way. I say it because I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to share what little I know about this very big life, what little that I've learned about business with every single one of you, and to hear ultimately that it's possibly helping, that it's making you think differently, that it's one of the gals said, I feel rudderless and I listen to you and it helps me so much. And I thought, this is why every single one of us are meant to shine with a brighter light. We'll see you soon.